Hello viewers, today we are here to discuss about new media. And new media is something that we all are immersed in, particularly if you are armed with a smartphone like this. Because all the time we are doing WhatsApp or checking mail or Google searching something on the internet, everything through the phone, and all that is part of interaction with the new media. So let us try and define what new media is exactly. How would you define new media? Now, new media most commonly refers to content available on demand through the internet, accessible on any digital device like a PC or the smartphone, and it usually contains interactive feedback and creative participation. And common examples of new media can include websites like this online newspapers, blogs, wikis, video games, apps like WhatsApp or other GPS apps, augmented reality games like Pokemon Go, and of course the social media like LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. So all that form part of new media. But then what is new about this new media? Why is this media called new media? Just because it's digital media, or is there something more to it? Well, if you compare these media with old traditional media like say radio, television or newspapers, the main difference is that we cannot interact at such an intense level on radio, television or the newspaper. There is very narrow scope of feedback. Whereas in all the new media, there is ample scope of feedback and interactivity. Second thing, television means audio and visual, radio means only audio, and print is text and images. But new media means it's a convergence of everything. So when we are reading an online newspaper, there may be some video embedded into it which cannot happen in a print newspaper. Or when we are say watching a movie, so while we are watching a movie online, at the same time we can do something else also. So therefore we have this freedom of navigating which we do not have in traditional media. And the new media is something where we are not just consumers, not just passive consumers, but we are also producers. So we can maintain our own blog, we can have our own websites. So we are not consumers of new media, but we all are actually users of new media. So therefore the way we relate to the new media, the way we assimilate information from the new media is very different from the way we do it with the traditional media. So in these ways, new media is actually quite a breakaway from the traditional media. Now, new media has altered the meaning of geographic distances. Why do we say so? Because we can communicate with America or Europe sitting right here at the blink of an eye. It doesn't take, so the geographical distance becomes meaningless when we are in a cyberspace or in a new media environment. New media has allowed for huge increase in volume of communication. That means the digital data that are going through fiber optic cables or through other channels, that's huge volumes of data. If you think of audio, video, images, text, huge volumes of data are crisscrossing. So that it has allowed for this crisscrossing of huge amounts of data. And it has provided the possibility of increasing the speed of communication. As I said, in the blink of an eye, you can communicate with somebody sitting thousands of miles away at the other end of the earth. It has provided opportunities for interactive communication, which was very narrow in the traditional media. And it has allowed forms of communication that was previously separate to overlap and interconnect. That means we can simultaneously communicate in text, images, videos and everything. Okay, so it is a kind of multimedia communication. Now, according to W. Russell Newman, who is a media scholar, he says that we are witnessing the evolution of a universal interconnected network of audio, video and electronic text communications that will blur the distinction between interpersonal and mass communication, between public and private communication. Now, how is new media blurring this distinction between interpersonal and mass communication? Because blog is a kind of very personal communication. It's like keeping a diary on the internet. But once you publish something on the blog, it is there for everybody to see. So, very personal communication becomes public. Whatever you communicate on Facebook, that is for the public to see. So, interpersonal communication and public communication, the differences the boundaries have blurred. And also this, the idea of mass communication. So, I just give you an example that how it is changing the idea of mass communication. Many of us, we all in fact get SMS or we get emails which we call junk SMS or junk emails, which are sent en masse, maybe to 500,000 people at a time. It is trying to sell something or announcing a new event that is happening or whatever. So, that is actually this SMS or email is, strictly speaking, it's an interpersonal communication. But because the same communication is sent to thousands of people, then it can also be called a mass communication. So, therefore, this new media is also blurring the distinction between interpersonal and mass communication. So, new media has actually initiated what we call as convergence. Now, convergence is a technological process bringing together multiple media functions within the same device. That means it's not only that different media are converging like text, image, audio, animation, video, everything is combining into one piece of communication, but also with the same device, you can perform multiple functions like reading a newspaper, like sending an email, or even online shopping, or publishing your own article, or taking a movie. Okay, everything can be accomplished on one single device. It can be either your PC or your smartphone. So, in that way also it is a technological convergence, but this technological convergence has a lot of cultural implications. It has brought in a lot of cultural changes, and consumers are encouraged to seek out new information and make new connection among dispersed media contents. Now, it has created new virtual communities who are always in touch with each other. It has left a huge mass of information at our fingertips, and we can get any information we like just by going online and doing Google search. So, the way we seek information, the way we connect to our friends or we create new friends, that has brought in a paradigm shift in our lifestyles. Now, in this context, I would like to tell you an anecdote. And it goes like this. It happened sometime in 2001 when new media was just about coming up. One Filipino-American boy, but that means originally Filipino but now residing in America, high school boy, he was doing his assignment, some high school assignment, and for that he downloaded an image from Sesame Street. Sesame Street is a very popular television show for little children. So, there is a character called Bert in Sesame Street, and he wanted to show Bert as evil. Okay, this has something to do with his assignment. So, he downloaded an image of Bert, and he also downloaded an image of Osama bin Laden, and using Photoshop, he created a situation where as if Bert is having conversation with Osama bin Laden. This was just after 9/11. So, that way, and he called it Bert is evil. I mean, that means Bert is an ally or associate of Osama bin Laden. Alright, and he posted it on his blog or wherever. Now, in Bangladesh, somewhere in one of the small publishing houses, they were making posters and they were looking out for images of Osama bin Laden, and they chanced upon this particular image which they liked. Now, in Bangladesh, they hadn't seen Sesame Street. They were totally ignorant about this television show Sesame Street and the characters. So, they didn't know who Bert was, but they found this particular image interesting and they downloaded it and they put it in their poster. And there was a big rally in Bangladesh, anti-American rally. CNN was covering that rally. And as a result of that, the production house that produced Sesame Street, they happened to watch this news on CNN and they saw their character, their creation Bert, along with Osama bin Laden in one of the posters. They were furious and they wrote to CNN that we are going to sue those who are plagiarizing our images and characters and this, that and the other. But it was not CNN. CNN was just covering the rally. So whom will they sue? That was very fuzzy. Even they didn't know, the producers didn't know whom to sue actually. And the boy who had actually created that image, it came to his notice and he got a lot of kick out of it. Suddenly he felt very important. So he created many such images and he kept them posting on his blog, and he created his own fan club. So, therefore, one particular image, it traveled round the globe, it got picked up by different people sitting at in different corners of the world, got used in many different ways, and it came back to the originator. Now, some of them are corporates, some of them are big time production houses, some of them are grassroots communication and communicators, and some of them are just individuals sitting in their homes and using Photoshop. Alright, but they all got entangled in this one incident. If that is an example of convergence, that is an example of how convergence is bringing about a globalization. I mean, this is also one aspect of globalization. So, something like this can happen only in a new media environment. So, we can say that new media has facilitated convergence, it has facilitated participatory culture, and it has facilitated collective intelligence. Now, what is participatory culture? Participatory culture means that if you form a virtual community of like-minded people sitting in different parts of the world, so together you can create something. Supposing you post something on your blog and then somebody else comments and somebody else comments. So that is participatory culture. Together, people contributing different kinds of shots from different parts of the world, and it all gets made into one film. So that is participatory culture. And what is collective intelligence? Wikipedia, it's an example of collective intelligence. That means that no one knows everything in this world, but everyone knows something, and all knowledge resides in humanity. So in Wikipedia is not a creation of one man's knowledge or one group of people's knowledge, but it is formed by the contribution of so many people who know about so many things and who are contributing images, texts, citations, this, that and the other, and that's how Wikipedia has got formed. Alright, so this collective intelligence, an act of collective intelligence, is facilitated by new media. Similarly, participatory culture is also facilitated by new media. So let us go back to the fundamentals and understand what new media actually is. Now, so most technologies that are described as new media are digital. That we all agree that it is digital, and they have characteristics of being manipulated, of being networked, and they facilitate two-way communication and so on and so forth. New media involves two distinct ideas, and that is digital and computation. So at the core of new media, these two ideas are there, that new media is digital and it involves computation. And anything that can be digitized can be passed through an arithmetic logic unit. Any computer at its core, it has the central CPU of a computer has an arithmetic logic unit, and anything that can be digitized, whether it is image, whether it is speech or text or numbers or data or whatever, it can be passed through an arithmetic logic unit, and so it can be processed. So what is digitization? Digitization is basically taking a particular signal, so it can be an audio signal, it can be video signal or just an image, and breaking it up into very tiny samples. So that means it's sampling a signal and then assigning a whole number value to each tiny sample, which is called quantization. So sampling and quantization, these two are the two essential steps of digitization. So anything that can be sampled can be digitized, because once you sample it, quantization is just one step away from digitization. Now, Lev Manovich, who is a professor at the New York, and he has written a lot of interesting books on new media. So, he has said, given 5 propositions to describe new media. Now, Lev Manovich says that these principles should not be considered as absolute laws, but these are general tendencies of a culture undergoing computerization, as we are doing right now. And as the computerization affects deeper and deeper layers of culture, these tendencies will manifest themselves more and more. Now, what are these tendencies? Principle 1 is numerical representation. So, which we said just now, that all new media objects, whether they are created from the scratch, so supposing you create an image using a laser pen, okay, or you scan an image. So, whether you create from the scratch on the computer or you convert from analog media sources, so they are composed of digital codes and they are numerical representations, and so therefore that means anything that is on the computer has a numerical representations in terms of zeros and ones. Okay, anything that is digitized is depicted in terms of zeros and ones. That means everything is reduced to numbers, reduced to digits, and that has 2 key consequences. That new media objects can be described mathematically. That means anything that is in your computer has a corresponding mathematical description. So, for example, an image or a shape can be described using a mathematical function. So, that is one. And the second thing is, a new media object is subject to algorithmic manipulation, because once you pass it through an arithmetic logic unit, it becomes programmable and it is subject to change. You know, you can change the color, you can change the shape, you can add one particular object to something else, and you can do all kinds of things depending on what kind of algorithm you are following. So, for instance, by applying appropriate algorithm, we can automatically remove noise from a photograph, improve its contrast, locate the edges and the shapes, or change its proportion. In short, as I said, new media becomes programmable. So, because everything is in digits in the new media environment, everything is programmable. Principle number 2 is modularity. Now, what is modularity? Say, for example, if you are setting up a modular kitchen in your home, then you will choose shelves from an array of shelves available in the market. You will choose cupboards from an array of cupboards, partitions and other things, drawers, and then you will bring those and you will put them up to suit your purpose, and you will have a kitchen. So, that means you are not building the kitchen from scratch, but you are taking ready-made objects which form parts of the kitchen, and you are assembling them together to create your kitchen. We do exactly the same thing is done when we create new media objects. That means some ready-made parts are already there. Say, for example, if you are using a color palette, so the colors are already there and we choose from that color palette. Some ready-made shapes are already there. We are choosing from those shapes. So, that way it is modular in nature, and when you are taking bits and pieces and putting them together to create something new, the individual pieces do not lose their individuality. They retain their individuality. So, you can break them up at any point of time and you can reshape them or remodule them. So, just as once you set up a modular kitchen, that is not the last thing. You can always take up the individual pieces, dismantle the individual pieces and create another kitchen with the same objects. So, same way in the new media environment, once you have created an image or some kind of a graphic or even a film, you can always break it up into its individual components and create it all over again. Principle 3 is automation, and it derives from the numerical coding of the media and as well as the modularity. So, automation means that it has something to do with being programmable. That means whatever software you are working with, the software has got some capability of doing something on its own. It is programmed to do something on its own. Say, for example, you are using Final Draft software to write a script. So, Final Draft software is programmed to format the script so that you don't have to format it manually. The software itself will format the script. So automation is built into the software. The software is programmed to perform certain tasks on its own. So that is automation. The fourth principle is variability. It means that a new media object doesn't get fixed or permanent once and for all, but you can change it. As long as it is in the new media environment, you can change it and reshape it and change its color, change its form. You can keep on changing it as long as it is in the new media environment. So it is variable, or it is mutable, or sometimes we even say that it is liquid. So the logic of new media thus corresponds to this post-industrial logic of production on demand. That means that supposing you want a motor car to suit your purpose, you don't want to buy a motor car just that's available on the shelf. So you see the basic design of the motor car, and then you say that you want these changes, and exactly the motor car that you want will be delivered to you. Now, this hasn't become so popular, but when it comes to media objects, say a graphic or a film or an image or even a music that is created in new media, that can be changed, altered to suit your purpose, and from the basic skeleton structure, infinite variations can be created, and these variations can be given to different users to suit their purpose. That means everybody doesn't get exactly the same thing. It's not an assembly line production, but it is a production to suit one particular consumer's purpose. And the fifth principle is transcoding. Transcoding means that new media, very broadly speaking, operates at two layers. One is the cultural layer and other is the computer layer. Now, the cultural layer is the music that you hear or the image that you see or the video that you see. That is the cultural layer because you react emotionally to it. And whereas the numeric layer or the computer layer is the deeper layer which is at the machine level. And there is always constantly there is a transcoding happening between the cultural layer and the numeric layer. So that is again a characteristic of new media. New media functions as a result of that, otherwise it won't be a new media, it will become a traditional media. And the machine language affects the cultural language. Now what does it mean? That the machines can perform certain tasks. Say for example, you are creating a poster. Now if you create a hand-drawn poster, it will look something, but if you create a poster using Photoshop, it will look something different. Why? Because when you are creating a poster using Photoshop, you can add layers to it, alright? You can play around with the text the way you want. So it will have a very different look from the poster that you create using just paint and brush. So therefore, this machine language has made certain things possible. You look at the new films that are done, even this the feature films, so much of work goes on at the post-production level. At the post-production level, we add new elements to it, we add new layers apart from doing the color correction and all those things. So much of creative work goes on at the post-production level because the machine language has enabled these things to happen. So culturally, these things are becoming a part of the cinematic language. So therefore, the machine language affects the cultural language. Here are these examples like new media, art created through new media. So this is called 10,000 Moving Cities. So this is an example of new media installation art. And this is called a soap opera for IMAX. So as you can see here, see this is as if a view from a surveillance camera. And these are all new art forms that are being made possible through this new media. In conclusion, I would like to say that new media has changed the way we live, the way we think, the way we process information, the way we educate ourselves. It has touched all aspects of our lives, and new media itself is a changing entity. It's a constantly evolving entity. It's changing every day, and it is becoming what we, the users of new media, are making it to be. That's the beauty of it, that we all are not only passive consumers of new media, but users of new media, and through our use, we are changing and morphing new media all the time. So new media itself is in a change of, is in a state of flux. So what is new media today will be very different from what it will be 5 years down the line, and everything is not predictable. The trajectory that the new media will take in the near future is not predictable, because so many people, so many minds are working with it, doing things with it and altering new media in the process, and also getting altered, altering as well as getting altered. So new media is non-hierarchical. It provides a equal platform for grassroots people as well as corporates, and it provides an opportunity for everybody to be a part of the process of development, a process of creation. Thank you very much.